especially if you are making less than $300,000 a year. What we're going to talk about right now is probably the biggest lever you can pull on in your business. So what is it? It is simply this. All right, I hope this will be helpful to many of you. I want to do a refresher on the business basics. When I went back to read Tiger Woods' biography, what was interesting was how focused on the basics of the golf swing he was when he was getting off track at a major championship. He would go back to grip. He would go back to alignment. It was the best in the world, focusing on the basics and doing it really hard. I think sometimes the basics are hard because we want something that's more ineffable, that's harder to grasp. Like, as if the basics weren't the problem, maybe this vaguer thing can solve my problems. What I want to do today is just collective courage. Let's get together on the basics. This will apply to those of you who need to make a pivot in your business or who are not making the kind of money you want to be making from your business. Today, this segment is for you, especially those of you who need to generate more cash flow now. This is such a basic issue. I feel like I've had 4 or 5 conversations with listeners in just the past 2 weeks about this issue. It often applies to businesses that are making less than $300,000 a year. It will be useful to everybody, and all entrepreneurs are doing what we're about to talk about all the time. But especially if you are making less than $300,000 a year, what we're going to talk about right now is probably the biggest lever you can pull on in your business. So what is it? It is simply this. It is offer generation. So what is an offer? An offer is distinct from a product. A product is what delivers on the offer. Then you've got these things called systems. Systems are repeatable actions that a business takes that will deliver the product and the packaging around the product, including the service or whatever, that delivers on the promise that the offer initially made. Now, every product, every service, everything has an offer. And it is an enormous point of leverage because even if it's not explicit, some people say, well, I can get away with having a product and no clear offer because if people see it, they want to buy it. Guess what? Your prospects, your market is coming up with the offer in their own mind. They are telling themselves a story about your offer. I see the features. I can imagine what it looks like in my house. Okay, so the offer is this value I think I have in my head plus the $45 price tag. Okay, I will accept the offer, pay the money, and get the product delivered. Hopefully you have some systems on the back end. Now, why am I talking about offers? The interesting thing about offers, they are the basics of a business. Every business starts with an offer. Back when Ian and I started industrial furniture, it's like, hey, are you tired of your valet parking podiums that are inefficient to ship, that break after 2 years, and that are made by people who don't know true engineering? Well, we've got a solution for that problem. Here it is. Here's the offer. They didn't have the product. We didn't have the product. It's an offer. What's interesting about that? Well, the product cost us $60,000 to make in many months. The offer took us 6 hours to make. So this is an enormous point of leverage. So why do I keep coming across founders who aren't focused enough on their offers? I think my hypothesis is that offers are right adjacent to sales, and sales are right adjacent to rejection. And so the moment you come up with an offer, the next thing you do is you start presenting it to clients. And for most of our businesses, we can talk to a client that day or that week. We don't have to run some content campaign or some ad campaign. Ideally, we want to talk to the person, see if they love the offer. Most times they're not going to love it and they're not going to want to buy it. And so we start thinking about product. We start thinking about systems. We start thinking about scale. There's so many things that we could think about that our business could be one day. that we could learn right now if we just focused on the offer. It's a little bit like cart before the horse. It's like we want to focus on the horse first. If your horse wins the race, okay, which means it's strong product market fit. Now all of a sudden everybody knows the horse's name because it was a winner. Well, now you can get another horse. And maybe when those horses get older, you can afford some carts, and now we need to fix the carts. So we build some systems to fix it. You get the point. We are builders and we want to build scaled systems. We want to build products. We want to build audiences. We want to build all these cool things. All I'm doing today is making the pitch that we should want to build offers, and that a great offer is what million-dollar, multi-8-figure businesses are built on. I wanted to roll a quick ad here because I just got off a call with the team at Remote First Recruiting, and the work that they're doing is incredible. The average placement for our clients at remotefirstrecruiting.com is 21 days. That means if you're hiring internationally, you could have your next amazing team member in just 3 weeks working with you to grow your business. They're telling me that lately, a lot of bootstrappers are hiring sales reps, bookkeepers, BDRs, SDRs, and customer success managers. And the primary region we're focused on, and the majority of these hires right now at Remote First Recruiting are coming from Latin America. So an incredible value, super high English skills, and people that can get integrated in your business in short order. So you don't have to take our word for it. You can check out our shout out in Rob Walling's amazing book, The SaaS Playbook, where he talks about one of the best places to go is remotefirstrecruiting.com. We've been doing this since 2020, whether it's project-based or long-term contracts. We can do permanent placements or contracting. We can work within your budget to get you the global talent that you need to take that next step forward in business. We hire for all kinds of roles, and getting started is super easy. Just book a 15-minute call with our head recruiter since 2020, Greg Valentine. He's an amazing guy. Actually been friends with Ian since forever, and it's a pleasure working with him because he knows what he's doing. He knows what bootstrappers want and need, and he can get that next team member in your business in 21 days. How incredible. You're just a 15-minute phone call away. And it's really fun to talk to Greg because he knows what he's talking about. So if you're curious to learn more, head on over to remotefirstrecruiting.com. Okay. What is the difference between a good offer and a bad offer? I mean, there's this concept. Essentially, what we're talking about here is businesses that are in product market fit. The core challenge of the business is product market fit. And this will often come up time and time again. So it does happen with businesses at scale. You have to change the way you're framing up the offer as your business scales. But often if you're just struggling to figure out what's next, an offer is typically that gateway. Well, how do you know if it's good or bad? Well, number one, if you're struggling, it probably has to do with the offer. And we can start to adjust that right now. We don't have to wait for another product development cycle. We don't have to turn over our teams. We can go back and look at the offer. And so this is back to Tiger Woods. It's like we're trying to win the Masters. There's all these things we could consider. What did the past 5 Masters winners do? What's the data? What's the wind? How about grip and stance? Let's get back to the basics of the golf swing. And I think it's the same thing in business. Let's get back to the basics of your offer. Your offer should serve your clients and serve you. It should feel like a tailwind. When you present it to people, they should want to buy. They should love it. They should tell their friends about it. They should ask you questions about what it's all about, how they can get more, how they can get started today. How do we work on offers? We have an offer worksheet that you can download. I'm going to walk through the questions that I present to my team when they're building experiences, products. They need to answer these questions, and the act of answering these questions is the act of building a product. And so you can do this right now in 30 minutes if you need to tweak your offer, if you don't have product market fit. If people aren't excited about what you're doing, awesome. We can solve this in a few hours. We can get started solving this. Okay. The easy part is drilling on the offer. The hard part, and I think the reason so many of us get lost in the weeds of all the implications and will it scale and What about the product? And all these other like downstream implications is that we're looking backwards now towards ourselves. What it's going to mean for us. I feel like once you have an offer, if you look towards the market, well, now we're going to have to go out there and risk getting rejected because we don't want to wait for an audience feedback or all. We need to talk to people, our target market, about our offer and get their honest feedback. See, do you like it? Okay, do you like it enough to buy it right now? Okay, why not? Like, why won't you buy it right now? Like, that's how you do this stuff. That's how businesses get started, is you walk to a meeting, you show up to a meeting with an offer, with a human who ought to buy it. And when they don't buy it and they reject you, which shouldn't suck, all right? That's the idea. Okay, it does suck on one level. But a superpower of amazing entrepreneurs is that it doesn't suck. I want to know why you didn't pull your credit card out right now. Because I want the next you who has this problem, who has crappy valet parking podiums that don't ship well, who has poorly designed pet furniture. Why aren't you buying this better option right now? What's missing from this offer? Is there too much risk in it for you? Is it, if it were half the price, would you buy it? Is it a pricing thing? No, it's not a pricing thing. It doesn't show up tomorrow? Is it the wrong color? We need to find out. What would make you pull out your credit card and buy this right now? Because you said you have the problem that's at the top of the offer. This is a solution, but you don't see it as a solution. Why not? That is the grip and stance of a business. That is the whole thing. The whole business rests on they've got a problem and you're hypothesizing about what will solve it. And there's a delta between your level of agreement about that. And when they get passionate about the way you're solving it, that is a business that's going to take off. And so we're getting back to basics. We are taking a look at our offers and we are reformulating them. And we were having these conversations that were once difficult, but because you know it's a part of a framework and because you know it leads to businesses that scale to $1 million and beyond, you are happy to do it because you know how much of a great, quote, scalable system this is, that the next the first 5 conversations are going to be weird because you're not going to see a single credit card. And then the next 5 conversations, you're going to start to see some curiosity. And then 20 conversations later, people are going to interrupt you to be the first customer. That is the idea. Okay. How do we create an offer? I'll give you some resources at the end. And there's obviously lots of frameworks and philosophies around this, but you just need to answer some simple questions. And obviously, the better you can answer the questions, the more likely you are to have a great offer. Here are the questions. What problem does it solve? Can you clarify the challenge? Who does it solve it for? Bonus point, and what amount of time does it solve it? Next question, what is the unique way in which you solve it? Next question, what is the proof that you can solve it? What's the next step to take action? Next question, more details about the unique solution. Next question, what are the questions that prospects will typically have when considering this problem and unique solution? So these are FAQs, right? You're anticipating objections and questions. What are the next steps? And then bonus points, if people are still hanging around the offer, if they're not taking action right now, perhaps there's a way in which you can help them anyhow. Okay, now that is something that's ripped off from an internal process where when the team is coming up with anything in the business that we are trying to persuade people to do, hey, come to this call. There is going to be someone here to talk about tariffs or whatever. I want them to be able to answer these questions and offer for even a phone call. That's free, right? This is a way to frame up, hey, if you've got this challenge, if you're feeling like the conversations in your life about tariffs aren't satisfying your need to understand them better or your curiosity about how they might affect your business, then we're going to solve it in this unique way. We have a group of expert practitioners that are going to get together for a short amount of time. You see how this goes. This is an offer for a free thing. We're just asking. It's not quite free because we're asking for people's time, right? The idea is that if people aren't taking action on your offers, there's something wrong in one of these questions, and you need to adjust it. Now, they can accordion out infinitely. What can you do to take action? You might have some pricing information in there. So it's like, well, to take action, you got to give me a deposit. Well, then it's like, well, now I kind of object to a deposit because I don't know you that well. It's like, okay, I'm going to de-risk that somehow. I'm going to take away the deposit because I have no track record, or I'm going to add in some track record and make my deposit higher. So we're just making adjustments here, and we're trying to figure out specifically what people object to. And these are the basics. When we want to fix our golf swing, going back to the grip, man, it's like, that's boring. I want to talk about strategy at Augusta. I don't want to talk about my grip. But that's what Tiger did. And that's what we're doing today. There's some great resources about this if you want to learn more about it. I almost don't suggest, let's just start working on your offer. Let's ask ourselves, how good is our offer? Can we frame it up and answer these simple questions? Does it resonate when I talk to my target market? This is the core of a business. But Hormozi recently wrote an excellent book about the topic, $100 million offers. Dan Kennedy's Ultimate Sales Letter is also an excellent book. And check out the document that we've included in the podcast and YouTube notes of this episode. It's simple as can be, terrifyingly simple. I sent an email to a coaching client the other day, and he was like, hey, the coaching client was basically like, I'm looking forward to our call in a couple days. Is there anything you want me thinking about before I came to the call? And I was like, yeah, definitely. Like, just answer these 3 questions before you get there. And then I got a reply that was like, I'm going to need another week. Like, I asked 3 questions. Now, if I would have asked 37 questions, he would have had the call. But it was 3 questions. It's like the simplicity of answer these questions about your offer, talk to people who aren't buying it. That's it. Simple. Grip, stance, the fundamentals of business. It all starts with offer. We're talking about offer, market, fit. If you've got a great offer, that's what's going to lead, not necessarily, but that's your first step into then figuring out, well, now I got to worry about the product has to deliver on the promise of the offer. And I need leverage in terms of systems to be able to scale my product delivery. But it all starts with the offer. And if your business is making less than $250,000 a year, this is probably where all the action is. We're not thinking about systems and scaling as much. You can run around and take care of that stuff. But if everything feels hard, this might be where the problem lies. So there you go. Download the template, fill it out, and let me know how it goes for you.